This is another edition of Head On Shaw TV. I'm your host, Ian Holmes. All things Nanaimo City Hall on the program here today. Mayor John Ruttan is in studio to discuss a number of issues, including a new hotel, a massive hotel project in downtown attached to the conference center. That development permit has been approved. The climbing costs of Colliery Dams. We'll get into that issue with the mayor. Also, the impact of a new city manager at City Hall, Ted Swaby, is in. And will John Ruttan run for mayor again next November? Another election coming rapidly around the corner. These issues we'll get into it with some detail here with the mayor right now. John, thanks so much for coming on the program. Your head-on debut. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
This hotel is very exciting stuff, and we'll flash the pictures up on the screen now. Dax, if you can get those up there. This SSS Manhao, a Chinese travel agency, 21 floors, 240 rooms, 14 commercial units, 2 rooftop restaurants, a spa, 4 diamond quality hotel. This list just goes on and on. A beautiful facility. John, you must be elated with the fact that construction likely to get going in the early spring on this beautiful hotel.
Possibly earlier than that. That's the exciting thing. If you have a chance, and maybe the viewers can see the artist's conception of the hotel, it's a beautiful building. A lot of glass on it. They're wanting to slant it and design it and put it in a place with a rock wall behind it, the feature that's there. Close to Piper Park. There'll be a walkway over to the new conference center that we've got. Well, it's not new to us now after 5 years, but it'll be new to the hotel. And yeah, the pieces are coming into place. And you know, when you talk to the people, the investors that have come over from China, they are very, very excited. You know, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. You know, when you get people coming over and looking at what's here and the proximity to the ocean and seaplanes and tugboats and freighters coming and going, they see this as a beautiful setting and they're excited.
The tax-free exemption for 10 years that the city laid out to spur on this kind of investment for upgrades in new hotels, do you think that was the catalyst that pushed this over the top, or do you think that was just maybe a nice little added element that really helped thrust this along, John?
Well, I think it was the catalyst that pushed it. You know, we originally came out with a plan where we were going to offer the site for $10. There's a lot of concern from the public about that, and I totally understand that. We offered that, we as council offered it to incent somebody to come along and buy it. They wouldn't get that unless they committed and made a substantial $1 million commitment to build a hotel. In any event, before we got into that position, along came this latest one. It's actually a subsidiary of Suzhou Youth Travel Services from Suzhou, China. They really are excited about this plan. They came along with a good concept, but they right away said, I understand that if we build this, there'll be a tax moratorium for up to 10 years. And we said, yes, that's correct. But I think the important thing to realize, Ian, is this is not a one-time first event. We've offered this same type of incentive for several years downtown. Not too many with hotels. But the important thing is people to recognize that the hotels, any new hotel, any existing hotel, as long as they make a substantial $250,000, $500,000 or greater investment, and we're talking $50 million on this new hotel, we'll get up to 10 years tax moratorium. Now, there are other businesses that have got that already. There's a couple of restaurants in town, and several years ago, as many as 8 and 9 years ago, the City Council had made the determination we wanted more people living in residences upstairs in downtown buildings. And so some of the buildings that decided to renovate and build accommodation upstairs were given up to 10 years tax-free to encourage them or incent them to do that, and they've done that. And the Gazola block in downtown Nanaimo, a well-known spot there, and Mon Petit Chou restaurant is there. That building was arranged in that configuration, and 3 suites were established upstairs. Tax moratorium was granted, but that's in about another year or 2 years, it's over, and now there's a beautiful building there, a wonderful restaurant, and we're going to get a good tax revenue from that in the years to come. It's a long-term investment.
Before we switch gears, John, just comment a little bit on your feelings on Spinoff investments coming to Nanaimo as a result of this massive cash injection. I'm sure people are noticing. I mean, $50 million throwing into downtown Nanaimo, that's going to turn some heads. And Sasha Angus on the phone telling me today from the Nanaimo Economic Development Corporation as they're hearing about people kind of poking the tires. So is that something that you're kind of hearing?
Oh, absolutely. And Sasha's right. You know, we see this as a catalyst for a lot of financial opportunities and development coming forward. You know, there's a lot of money in Southeast Asia, and they're looking for long-term safe investment. Canada is seen as a politically stable country. Certainly now with the problem in the United States, with the government inactive at this time, I think it gives them even more confidence to come to Canada and build here. And I think Nanaimo has a lot to offer them. And what I see is we are working hard to try to reestablish that passenger-only service, the fast, what they call the foot ferry, the fast passenger-only service. It's further ways than that, but we're still optimistic that we're going to see that. And you know, with this hotel, if we can get that high-speed ferry back, the two of them together, wow, the whole downtown is going to really move, and all of Nanaimo will benefit from it, and really Central Vancouver Island.
Moving on to the Colliery Dams, John, an issue that we've talked many times before in the past, and you're no stranger to this issue, the two seismically unsound dams in the Harewood community of Nanaimo, and the city wavering on what to do with the long-term future of these dams, not deciding essentially what to do at all. It's kind of in limbo, essentially, and about $1 million now has been spent on studies and reviews, some engineering work on what to do with these dams, and still no decision has been made. That $1 million figure, John, does that concern you that that much money has been spent, but really no decision from the city has been made on what to do with these dams?
Well, you're absolutely right, and it's a concern to all of us on council. And you know, this is something that certainly wasn't planned out. We had some options available. We discussed the options. We had in mind an option that we felt at council was the best moving forward. There was some concern from various sectors within the community. Certainly the Save Colliery Dam Society was very anxious to see the existing dam stay in place. Other groups within the community shared that view. And then Chief White from SFN decided the Nanaimo First Nations decided they would recommend a cooling off period or a consultation period of 30 days right in the middle of summer. So whatever plans that we had for either deconstruction or reconstruction, depending on the choice, was put on hold. And what that effectively did was impair our fisheries window. And certainly it wasn't done deliberately, it just happened that way. July 15th to normally September 15th is when construction work can take place because of the fisheries requirements. So that really prevented us from doing any more hard physical work this summer. What we did is then go to the Dam Safety Branch of Victoria, requested an alternative plan be brought forward at our discretion. We provide it to them, they decide. And what we wanted to do was say to them, look, we're not going to be able to get it done this summer. Can we get a short-term mitigation plan approved? We'll draft it and get it down to you. And that's what we've done. And but that's not inexpensive.
Yeah, but that being said, the short-term mitigation factors are coming in for the short term over the winter time. But what assurances are there that next summer that we're not going to go through this charade once again, John, and have at least some final closure on what's going to happen with these dams to stop all this more money being spent? I mean, like, where does it stop?
Bottomless pit. But you're right. I'd like to think that we will be able to make a substantial difference next summer. But that may not happen, and I think people have to be aware. I mean, we are moving as quickly as we can, given the challenges that we're facing. We're trying to make a timely decision, and it's not easy, and everything we do is a great deal of money. The least expensive option is approximately $7 million. The most expensive option is something over $20 million, and we really want to take the time to make sure that we're making the right decision.
Right, but from the city's perspective, decisiveness seems to be an important issue here. Not being a politician and council, it's not always popular to make a decision that people may not like, yay or nay on whatever decision is made. But I mean, something needs to happen.
That's valid. I accept that. What we're going to do is by the end of this month, we're going to have the short-term mitigation plan laid out and hopefully approved by Victoria, then by the Dam Safety Branch, which is a provincial entity, and then immediately following that, we're going to go into the long-term mitigation, and hopefully we're going to work through the rest of the winter and into spring and see if we can come up with a firm decision on how we can best move ahead that will be to the benefit of the majority of people. We're not going to get everyone. We're doing the best we can with it.
Ted Swaby, new city manager at City Hall. This is a big change, replacing Al Kenning, who recently retired last month. very interesting media gathering with local reporters. I was in on this with Ted laying down that he wants a culture change at City Hall, open up transparency, and have a better working relationship between senior staff and city staff and also city council. What's your read on Ted Swaby as his new role of city manager? What will be different as he heads up the organization?
Well, I think his influence is already showing. I did, and other council members received some criticism because we hired from within. Ted has been with the city for 23 years and has done an outstanding job, and the Chamber of Commerce and other groups are saying we should have gone national and tried to acquire somebody, see what's out there type of thing. But I had faith, and I think all the council did on the potential that was available there, and Ted really has a good focus on things. Al Kenning did a wonderful job as the city manager. Ted is doing an equally good job, but he has a different read on things, different approach on things.
How so, John?
Well, I think one of Ted's first visions are let's become more collaborative, and he was very anxious and tried to make sure that things like in-camera meetings, is there a way to try to release the information in a more timely manner? We're going through that exercise now. We're going through the 2010. We're going to release all that we can for 2010 in-camera minutes. When that's finished, we'll move into 2011 and then into 2012, and hopefully as we move ahead, we're going to be able to release more timely information faster than we've been able to do it in the past. We're trying to be open and transparent. I hate to use that term, but that's the one they use. And I think this is something that Ted really sees as a vision. I think the other thing too is he's taking the time, and without reflection on Al and the wonderful job Al did, but he wants to see more collaboration. He's working hard with the various entities and groups in Nanaimo, as well as individual councillors, to bring everyone on side, to work together as a cohesive group. And I think he's working, the work he's done has been supported by council. I think he's going to do a great job for us. I totally believe in him.
13 months from now, a civic election around the province of British Columbia. John, you've served 2 terms, or it will be 2 terms coming up as of next November 2014. So will you run again as mayor of the city of Nanaimo? Have you given that any thought?
Well, you know, I don't want to play games and skate, but the thing is that I really don't know. It's more than a year away. A lot depends on my health and what happens. There are things that are happening now that I would like to see as it unfolds. But, you know, there's other external things that are happening. And one thing that people need to be aware of, if they're not already, is that the province of British Columbia is looking at the possibility whether we should offer 4-year terms for municipalities. They're changing in Alberta. I think Ontario is 4 years. In fact, the majority of provinces, I'm told, are 4-year terms now. So when I was at UBCM, Union of British Columbia Municipalities, just very recently in September, they had a vote by the membership there and said, how many are in favor of going to a 4-year term? And over 60%, slightly over 60%, 60.8 or whatever, said, yes, we want a 4-year term. Previously, in the last 2 times they've had those elections, it's been turned down. So there's a change in thinking, change in philosophy, and it may be a 4-year term. My point being, so what do I have to decide on, whether I want to run for a 3-year term? If they bring it along and it's a 4-year term, well, it's going to require a little bit of extra thought. So,
but sounding from what you're saying, John, there seems to, what I'm gleaning from what you're saying is maybe a little bit of unfinished business, because it's not an outright no, it's not a yes. You're just going to, I guess, take it how it goes for the next year and make your decision. Presumably,
well, 13 months is quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we were talking about 13 weeks and you're going to say to me, what are your thoughts? I'd probably have an answer for you.
Right.
But, and as we move ahead and see what other challenges come along, there's so many new things happening, you know, and so many new things in council with the new city manager in the form, you know, of Ted and Ted Swaby. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and it's a very, very busy time for council. So we'll see. I'll make a decision.
But it sounds like you're still very, very engaged, and this is something that you find very fulfilling, and serving the city is something that you're still keen on now, John.
You know, there's a challenge to that, and the challenge is that time seems to be moving so quickly now that I'm getting frightened by it. You know, I mean, I want things to slow down a bit, and that's not happening.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
John, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Okay, thank you.
John Ruttan, the mayor of the city of Nanaimo, breaking down some interesting topics here on another edition of Head On. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm your producer and host, Ian Holmes. Tune in for another edition of Head On next time.